strong. When you got the man lands especially, you can basically just pay 4 to trigger a Sword and Fire and Ice almost at will.
Yeah.
Not a lot of decks can block a flyer in that kind of position.
So for those of you just joining us, I'm Gavin Verhey, joined here in the booth by Glenn Jones, and we're heading into round 4 of the Star City Games Open Series in Dallas-Fort Worth. What you just saw there was a nice little transition effect by Rashad. On your right, we've got Christopher Zhou playing a really cool Legacy artifact deck. Every card is an artifact but the lands. And you're like, oh, it's Affinity. That's the joke, right? No, it is not Affinity. We have Sword of Fire and Ice, Cranial Plating, backed up by Moxes, Master of Ethereum, Steel Overseer, Etched Champion. All kinds of interesting stuff going on here. This is a deck we've never seen before. Rogue deck, gonna be really cool to see how it plays out. On the other hand, something more traditional, Chris Van Meter, a weathered player, used to play in Seattle, plays in the Midwest now, who just has made top 8 of 2 Open Series that I know of, one just last week, and just qualified for Nagoya not that long ago too. And he's playing a Team America stock list with a 1 Kira Great Glass Spinner in it. Cut down on the daisies and stifles a little bit. So we'll see how this matchup plays out.
Inkmoth Nexus has already met a Wasteland.
Yes. With such a common matchup, you would imagine Christopher probably tested this one, but we'll see. Chris clearly wondering what is going on.
Can we switch to Van Meter and Zhou? Because otherwise I'm going to get really confused.
Oh, sure. Oh, fair enough.
We've got double Chris action.
Phyrexian
Revoker. Can we get with that named, Rashad? Solid Pride Mage. Ooh. Bad read.
But I guess that's the card he's probably most scared of, to be fair.
I mean, that's, other than, he doesn't want to name Wasteland because that stops his own Wastelands. What other cards? Jace,
nice
I guess?
Go for the
Explosives,
throats, Chris Van Meter.
Oh, man, that's so cruel.
It actually just doesn't do anything.
Oh, the card's ice cold. That's so gross.
0 game tax as far as killing Zhou's creatures is concerned.
Oh, Zhou's casting off City of Traders. Looks like... What do we got here? He's floating 2 and maybe about to play something else, actually, is I think what he's considering. Cranial Plating. Starting the tings. You might see a Daze here. That card can get well out of hand, and Van Meter doesn't really know what he's up against, so... He's going to let it resolve. Take 2. So I guess we know Zhou does not have a Mox Opal, or otherwise he'd have certainly played that. Brainstorm during the end step.
If Zhou's Inkmoth Nexus wasn't wastelanded here, that Cranial Plating is doing some serious damage. I can see how that's such a strong component in this deck. Man, Brainstorm.
He's got that Kira, but it's not going to do much in this match.
Yeah, it looks like he's shipping it back to the top.
He's got a Ponder, Goyf, a Tombstalker, a Daze, and I think he has the explosives there also. So he's got some options, a Fetchland and Underground Sea also. Oh, saw a shiny card but couldn't quite catch it. What's that one? Actually, whoa! Just a little fumble there, no big deal. Cracking the Delta, shuffling away one of his Brainstorm cards. Ponder was the one that he kept of the 2. ETs, etc.
Hey, Magic players! If you're like me, you probably wish you were playing EDH right now.
Tarmogoyf, that'll throw the brakes on him.
EDH Commander Lander, cool format name of the day. If you'd like to sign up,
that Goyf is going to really put a halt to that offense. All right, City of Traders looks like it's going to accelerate out. Okay, so if he floats 2 and plays a Citadel.
Yeah, Darksteel Citadel. Okay, that's the card I couldn't recognize. Foil, that card looks a lot different.
Looks very gorgeous. So a nice little trick there. Maybe some players don't know this. City of Traders says when you play a land, you sacrifice it. But if you float the 2 mana first, then you can play the land, and then you can tap to your other land to get your 3rd mana. And
Crucible.
it's a good combination.
Ah, the days. Wow.
Rough.
That would have been a nice card to resolve in this position.
Yeah, that Crucible is going to do quite a bit of work, especially if Chris found a Wasteland. Or Zhou.
It's going to be a fun game.
No more featuring people with double same first names.
I mean, imagine how bad it is to write them.
Yeah, I know, right? Let's see. Ponder from Chris Van Meter here.
Yep. See a Force of Will in there. And a... I can't quite tell what that one was. And he kept the 3. Picked up the Force of Will. Better safe than sorry. Doesn't really know what's going on. It seems like the free counter is probably very wise to just hang on to here. When you don't know what your opponent can do to you, playing safe is generally pretty advisable, and Van Meter is certainly in that position where he's not quite sure what's happening. He's got a Mox Diamond. Let him turbo out another play on this turn.
Yeah,
He got burned by that daze, though, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, that daze is brutal. Being the rogue deck in Legacy is such a high advantage because there's so many cards, your opponent just has no idea what to play around.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at the options, and it could literally be anything in Chris's deck. Is it Affinity? Is it something else entirely? Who knows?
Discarding the Seed of the Synod. Can't really see it because of the glare, but
That is what it was.
confident that that's what it was.
Yes. That is foil artifact land I do recognize. And a GT comes down for Chris Zhou.
Yep. Van Meter probably not excited about the prospect of forcing it, but he can't really fire his explosives very effectively just yet.
Yeah.
I imagine he'll drop explosives on the next turn.
Yeah, I mean, that explosive is going to be brutal on, too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it'll clear away Tarmogoyf, but it'll wipe Chris's board,
Bonk.
or Zhou's board. Although I suppose, like, if he was really greedy, he could kill off that Mox Diamond, but I just don't see that being the right play. I think he just, like, destroying GT,
Yeah.
plating, and a 2-1.
Ooh, going for a him.
Nabs a Revoker, and is that a Master of
Yeah,
Ethereum?
makes sense. I think so, actually. So now that Zhou has no cards, he can just play the explosives and removal. Pretty much everything.
Yeah. Zhou needs a good draw step right here. All right, City of Traders, not quite what he was looking for.
Not a bad one, though.
No, not awful.
Now he gets to bash with his guy for a significant amount of damage while throwing counters on the Jitte.
Yeah. Chris might have hoped that, I wish he left that.
Is that a stifle? He may stifle the Jitte gaining triggers.
My.
It's a reasonable play.
Yeah,
Again, players in Elder Dragon Commander Lander number 3, please report to the side events area.
I might have left my Goif back to block there, just in case of something like
Sure.
that happening. But I feel like if you're going to explosive everything away, you're just
Yeah.
in such a dominating position. But
Check in the graveyard, attack, explosives for 2, pass, cry. Yeah.
yep, pretty much.
Boom.
He just does it now to avoid any affinity
Yep.
shenanigans.
I
Good
think
call.
we know what Zhou will be naming with his next Phyrexian Revoker.
Yeah. Rough. Life total's close, but the game is running away quickly in Chris's favor, or Chris Van Meter's favor. All
Wasteland
right,
on the city.
so now,
Players, we are
and Tombstalker,
closing in
there we
on
go.
when We are about to start the second draft open.
That's a big one.
Yeah. Yeah, 5-5 is pretty burly
At
here.
this point, we have 14 players signed up. This event will be running. At this point, you will need to win one match in order to make it to top 8. If you are interested in jumping into this event, it is extraordinarily high EV.
He's talking about the draft open?
Yeah, yeah.
Extraordinarily
Yeah,
high EV draft open.
Unfortunately, not a lot of people in this draft open, but all right. Let's see. Attack for 5 with Tombstalker. Down comes Tarmogoyf. And Chris at 2, he just picks it up. Yeah,
Yep.
Chris Zhou loses game 1. If he had named explosives on that,
Blind Revoker.
Blind Revoker might have gotten somewhere.
All we'd seen was a Wasteland, you know, it's really hard to
Yeah.
peg, especially like explosives of all the cards. Like even if he knew his opponent was playing Team America,
Yeah,
explosives
yeah, no,
would
definitely.
probably not top the list because he knows it's generally just
Yeah.
1 to 2 of in a deck.
It's interesting how turn 1 Wasteland could mean literally anything. Like,
Yep.
I've seen dredge decks that play Wasteland in them. I mean,
I was having
Why
that
not?
argument with Alex Bertoncini. He was were talking about price caps and Legacy and various, and he traded away at Wasteland, and I said, like, your trade's fine now, but I don't think it was a good one because, like, he traded for some Type 2 cards. I'm like, the Type 2 cards, they're only going to go down. The Wasteland, it's really only going up. It's not like Wasteland's disappearing from Legacy anytime soon.
Yeah.
And we were discussing whether Wasteland was as ubiquitous or more ubiquitous than Force of Will. And I think it's just everywhere. Like, there are decks that Force of Will has a lot of constraints to playing it. Like, even some blue decks can't afford to play it because it requires so many blue cards. But there are decks that literally would never exist if it weren't for Wasteland.
Yeah.
One more person.
Especially
As soon as we
with
get that person, they'll be starting off. Just one more
especially
person
with
per
the
ADH. That person is coming up to the front.
Especially with the burgeoning Legacy format out there, like, these tournaments are just getting bigger, and people, like, love playing in them, and there's just going to be more of them.
Yep.
So, like, people need their Legacy staples. Wasteland's already at 50 right now. I think now is the time to buy them, not sell them. They're only going to go up from here. I mean, we've already seen all the dual lands rise up. We've seen Force rise up. I think it's only a matter of time before Wasteland hits that same mark, the $75 mark.
That's exactly. And Alex was arguing that he was thinking, I think he caps at 60. That card's never going to sell for more than 60. And I'm like, I think it'll sell for more than 60 by the time the Invitational rolls around. Like, I don't even know if we have to wait that long.
People are going to need those cards. I mean, Wasteland's helped a little bit by the fact that, first of all, it was an uncommon.
Yes.
But I mean, then again, Force of Will was uncommon too.
Yeah.
Second of all, is both the Judge promo and the DCI promo help it out, just make more Wastelands out there. But even then, I mean,
yeah, like, and those are still really expensive.
Yeah,
those are not cheap promos.
What's a foil DCI Wasteland worth these days? Not the Judge one, but the other one.
Yeah.
So I own several of those.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Well, let's check.
That's actually my play set.
Our
all foil, which might not be the greatest, but and Legacy are a little more forgiving.
Here's our what?
And Legacy, like they're all mine are foil because they're all the promo ones, but Legacy are a little more forgiving.
The player reward foil is out of stock at $80 on our website. Sold out at $80. We are also sold out on the regular one at $50.
Yeah, I mean, Wasteland, the thing about Wasteland too is it's a card like you have to play, you don't have to, but you should be playing 4 copies. Like most decks play 4 copies of it. Similar in the vein of like Force of Will or something like that.
Yep.
Like when every deck needs 4, the price just raises up exponentially. Oh.
And there's no substitute for a Wasteland either.
No, I mean, you can try and play something like Ghost Quarter, but you're not even close.
No, not remotely.
In this format, I mean, I was talking with Jerry Thompson during the break, and he said that maybe the answer, like I asked about fetching basics, and he's like, yeah, that's okay, but you really can't do that and keep up with what everything that's going on in the format. But the key, he thinks, to the future of Legacy is just playing more lands in your deck. Because Wasteland is a one-for-one trade. So like if you're trading a land for their land, as long as you have more lands to play, it's usually okay. But so many Legacy decks play a lot of cantrips and pops and such, they cap out at 22, 23 lands. They just don't have lands to follow up. We haven't really seen a traditional like 25, 26 land control deck in Legacy for a long time. So maybe that's the direction that someone needs to head in with their decks. It's just rough for a lot of the control decks, especially because they often want cards like Counterbalance, and they're going to be playing all these cards like the cantrip anyway. So when they aren't being wastelanded, they just don't need those extra lands. But
yeah, it's definitely one of the things about having access to so many powerful cards and to so much easy fixing is you really want to take advantage of all of it, and that just leaves you vulnerable to cards like Wasteland.
Yeah. Looks like the players are picking up the opening 7s here. I saw Chris flash a Croson Grip in his opening hand. If you go to his sideboard,
Vindicate. Split second instant Vindicate.
It's true. It doesn't all his lands,
pretty close.
But still pretty good. I'm sure those Go for the Throats got set out pretty fast.
I mean, they might have. He didn't actually see that many creatures, Like, he might not know that there's stone no targets.
That's true. I mean, even that you could expect something, potentially.
Yeah.
Looks like Croson Grip out of his sideboard, obviously. Ghastly Demise, potentially. Smother, potentially. Snuff Up,
I think
potentially.
certainly Smother. He's definitely saw enough for Smother.
And Pernicious Deed is going to be
Pernicious Deed.
pretty awesome.
Such sick blowouts.
Consuming Vapors could also be okay, but against the Nexus, their Nexi, they're not so strong. On Chris Zhou's side, let's see, Thorn of Amethyst potentially. Tangle Wire's got to be awesome here. Just locking Chris Van Meter off of options. Winter Orb, maybe. I can see Winter Orb happening.
I don't really think Winter Orb too much. It's Team America's designed to function on low lands.
Right, exactly. I mean, you just play out Tombstalker or something, right?
Yeah.
So Mox Opal down for Chris Zhou. Cursed Totem says activated abilities.
You pop a Wasteland on the sea? Yeah, okay. Active creatures activated abilities
Creatures
can't be
activated
played. He won't have
abilities
boarded that in. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Just a little unclear on what that one did.
One of my, well, that's the card, like, in playing Commander, actually, Curse Totem is the card I always think about whenever I build a deck. I'm like, God, this card would destroy me, but nobody plays it. Like,
everyone has too much fun in Commander. To play
Yeah,
cards
I
like
know.
Curse Totem.
Like, I was going to build a Zhou in Mono Black EDH deck, but it actually just can never beat a Curse Totem. Like, if the card just hits play, the game is over. Or a Damping Matrix, for that matter.
So Ponder from Chris, he decides to keep the cards pretty quickly. So I didn't quite catch what they were, but they were clearly pretty good.
Pack and a Force, a Hymn, some other goodies, another Ponder is in there.
Meanwhile, on Christopher Zhou's side, he's accelerated out with that Ancient Tomb, and he has a
Chalice.
Inkmoth Nexus. Yeah, there we go. Chalice
That'll
of the
shut down
Void.
all those Ponders and Brainstorms.
Yep, and once again, in Legacy, like, we're talking about land counts. They play all these cantrips to hit their lands, but if you just shut off all of their, 4 Brainstorm, 4 Ponders, he just shuts off all those, and now getting lands is going to be a lot harder for Chris Van Meter. Also shuts off Stifle if he had left any of those in.
Yep.
Ghastly Demise, potentially.
Whoa, Verdant Catacombs, okay.
You can still Explosives for 1 for whatever that's worth, or for 0 rather, for whatever that's worth, and kill off that Chalice. Or overpay on Explosives, little trick, and kill something that costs 1 if you really wanted to.
Yep, very true.
For those who don't know, you can pay like 2 blue mana for Explosives, and it still costs 2, but it'll only come into play with 1 Sunburst counter. It gets around cards like Chalice and Counterbalance. And here's a Hymn from Chris Van Meter.
Returning the disadvantage of the Chalice, basically. You can't play some of your spells, I'm going to take some of your spells. Like,
An eye for an eye.
and I did not see those spells.
Definitely did not see those spells.
But they were probably artifacts. It's a good bet.
Yep, I can agree. See, another Ancient Tomb drawn by Chris Zhou, but elects to play
Inkmoth
Inkmoth Nexus
Nexus
instead. It's so sweet how the Inkmoth Nexus can pump the Inkmoth Nexus.
Well, he's going to send in his Blinkmoth here. Opening it up to a Snuff Out, but...
Throws a card.
Jace. Solid card. Are we out of lands yet in Chris's hand? Or Chris Van Meter's hand? I believe we are.
Another Inkmoth Nexus. Might see Poison counter in Legacy here. That's yesterday's Poison counter.
Not the
current Poison
Van
counter.
Meter's not currently at 6. He is about to go to 1 unless he's smothered, or Snuff Outs here, sorry.
Potentially 2 off that Blinkmoth Nexus.
Rashad's catching up with the life
Rashad's
totals.
catching up. Yeah, there we go.
Pump.
Yeah. He's like, yeah. Pump. Inkmoth Nexus. One of those nice little interactions built into the card. That it's a nod to Legacy.
Yeah,
and
snuffed.
Chris pays for life to do so.
Might switch back to the Blinkmoth beats. Other way around. Blinkmoth pumping ink.
So, yeah, we saw some double Blinkmoth action here. That's pretty cool.
Edgar Flores is undefeated. We just got a report from the floor.
Edgar Flores, man. I watched him play a match last round. He was playing really tight. All right, and Chalice, nothing you can do about that. Gripped right away.
And a Bayou off the top.
Gives Chris Van Meter a 4th land.
Interesting. I don't know. I feel like I'd rather just Jace it up than go pondering here.
Maybe he's concerned that he would lose his Jace to Blinkmoth Nexus.
But I don't really see that. That's not especially likely. Maybe it's his only blue card for Force? Well, if he held the Ponder, then he'd clearly have a blue card. I don't know. It's an interesting play.
I think at this point he's just trying to play
My
around
opponent's
everything.
going to start playing like 4 mana to attack my Jace. I think I'm okay with it, you know?
So Chris Zhou with another Inkmoth Nexus.
It's got Daze, Force, and Jace.
And looks like Etched Champion from Chris Zhou. Which he can gain protection by activating one of the Nexi.
Yep.
So it's essentially a protection, even though it's not.
It's almost good enough to force. It is good enough to force. I feel like it was real close.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't know.
And it gets
And
forced.
if a cranial plating or something landed soon after, you could be in
Yeah.
trouble. So, and a grip.
Another grip.
That's probably going to put this one out of Zhao's reach. He's too far behind in cards. Van Meter didn't stumble on his mana. And his fate may be sealed now.
Yep. Appears that Chris Zhao's top card. Thinks for a while. I mean, it's not
Interesting.
obvious.
Tends to be the problem when you don't know what your opponent's playing. You're not sure how to evaluate. Leaves the card. It's a shiny. Shiny Mirren, I believe. I thought I saw the watermark.
Oh. Nice little tell giveaway there.
Could have been the shadow of his thumb now that I'm looking at the cards again.
Chris is out in the tank here. How's he going to come back from this one? All right, so that looks like another etch champion.
Etch champion.
Yeah,
I was right.
Your
Mirren,
Mirren watermark
got it.
was
Yeah.
correct.
The typo someone was referring to in Jerry's deck tech was actually already corrected before I stepped into the booth. To the best of my knowledge, I reported it myself.
Good little. It's always the worst. Well, not the worst. Like the best and the worst when you like write something and then like it's been out for like an hour and then you realize that you made a typo. Because it's like, well, I caught it, but I made a typo and I published it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I mean, I just get mad at Lauren Lee. That's my response.
True. You're the one like turning out these reports. Like, you like clockwork. So
Yeah.
fair enough.
She doesn't edit these for the record. I'm sure she would be indignant should I suggest such a thing. But for Gavin's work, I just blame Lauren. I never think Gavin made a typo.
I've made typos.
I mean, but I never think that. That's all I'm saying.
Not saying I ever made any of my Magic articles, but you know. So yeah, Chris had a pretty dominating.
God,
position
and
there.
the explosives. Whew.
Just gas after gas after
Yep.
gas. He found the fourth land and then found exactly what he was looking for. Of course, Chase the Mind Sculptor helps with that, but he hasn't
Yeah.
brainstormed with it yet. So
This game was pretty tough for
yeah,
Christopher Zhou already, but
this match looks pretty tough.
yeah.
Looks like he found a daze there on brainstorm.
Mm-hmm. And another Tombstalker and a Brainstorm.
Oh man, just gas all over the place here for Chris Van Meter.
Which of my awesome spells do I keep? Oh.
And he's trying to figure out how can I deal with that thing. And the answer, not very well, but Engineer Explosives can do it. I mean, I think that Etch Champion is Chris Zhao's last hope here. If he could find cranial plating and ship it over to the champion.
The Explosives does say non-land, right? That's the wording it
Correct,
uses?
it is non-land.
Just verifying.
So you cannot, kill off the Inkmoth Nexus or Blinkmoth Nexus with it. And you can also not destroy, say, a Seated Synod or something.
Now he could... There's only the Opal on the field, right? So he could just grip
Oh, wow.
the Oracle?
Yes, absolutely. Because I can't respond to that one.
No. So his only opportunity will be as this activation on the chump is about to happen. It's going to take 2. Eep. I do not love that.
Yeah, it's going to activate both of the Inkmoth Nexus, which will infect down the Tombstalker, making it a slightly slower clock, but still...
He had
3
to pay
turns.
2 life in the first place. That's the
Yeah.
most awkward part.
Yeah, 3 turns instead of 2 turns.
Oh, he's going to also blink moth it to pump. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's going to go to a 2/2.
2/2.
Buy him significantly more time. Assuming
Yeah,
he's allowed to do it.
You can tap the Blinkmoth or the Inkmoth Nexus
An
to
Inkmoth and a
activate the
Blinkmoth, yeah.
Inkmoth, yeah. He has the mana to do so. Such a cool interaction. It's great to see something like this actually happen. I mean, it's something you talk about when you saw
Yeah.
Inkmoth Nexus, but no one actually
It's
expected
a
this
blink
to show
moth
up.
too. I
Yeah.
have no effects before damage. That's what Chris
Yep.
just said. And now we're going to try and pump. He might grip here. It'll keep his momentum going.
I
His
feel,
Tombstalker will remain a 4/4.
I feel like he's so far ahead that you just kill off both of the Nexi here, and then you just grip the champion.
I think it's reasonable.
Yeah, and then you grip the champion, and Chris just has so little left. Chris Zhou has so little left.
Do you really have to, though? I mean, I think I'll wait and let him cast a spell, you know? He can't really do anything with the Ancient Tombs, because as soon as he taps that Ancient Tomb, like, that's literally a turn of his life that he just spent.
Yeah, I mean, if he has to use them, he has to use them, but...
And a Brainstorm? He just Jaced, so we already know 2 of those cards, so I guess the third one's gonna be a Wasteland.
Decent one to draw, though, kills off that Blinkmoth Nexus.
It does.
Although, it seems like maybe that should have happened pre-combat, so he could have had the opportunity to waste away one of the Inkmoth Nexus. But.
Yeah, I don't really like the Brainstorm here. I don't feel like he even knows what he's looking for, really. Like, this card's good, but it's not like that's gonna make or break the game. Did he just need the... No, he had enough cards for the Tombstalker. I was thinking maybe he just needed to get another card in his yard for another Tombstalker, but...
Did he leave Tombstalker on top of his library and needed to go get it again? Was that what happened?
Maybe, but in that case, again, he should have
arranged it
differently. Yeah,
exactly.
Left the Brainstorm on top.
Maybe he just wanted to know what his third card was. Sometimes you just gotta know. Yeah, Chris Zhou looking pretty defeated here.
I know a thing or two about defeat. And swinging my 2/2 into a 5/5 is a sure sign of it.
Yeah, lost his... Yeah, he's like, well, can't minds if you don't try.
It's very true. It's a very confident swing. Just
all right, block.
Block, yep.
And bin. Didn't need to use this Crossing Group for anything.
Nuts. That didn't work.
I mean, once again, kind of an advantage of a rogue deck. Oh man, and then explosives right there. One advantage of a rogue deck is, you know, maybe he could have something crazy, right?
Yeah.
But with his board position, I don't think for colorless he's going to be doing a lot. Chris Zhou sitting at 2 life. Chris Van Meter Fate Seals him. It's like, you can keep it, go.
Yeah, that's the...
And that should be that.
And... That is that? Oh, they're switching up the
all right, yeah,
okay.
Just in time to concede.
Yep.
All right, well, good work for Chris Van Meter. Advances to 3-1 after beating Christopher Zhou's innovative artifact-based deck.
Yeah.
We'll see if we can get Chris Zhou in the booth to tell us a little bit about his deck. I'd love to talk to him despite his 2/2 performance.
Looks like a sweet brew.
Yeah, it looks really cool. It'd be interesting to see how it plays out, what its matchups are. And
I feel like he didn't have any of the real explosive starts it's capable of, with like a turn 2 Master or Lodestone Golem really fast, that kind of thing.
I agree.